Go ahead and get started with our project management. We'll first introduce our team here. I'm Jenny Knight, City Administrator.
Justin Schitzel, Public Director.
Matt Robertson, the City Engineer.
Tyler Seaman, Building Inspector.
Brady Hanson with Office Walker.
Brandon Green with Jones Associates.
So first, we get everything here first. So our first item is Take 5 Car Wash, located at approximately 660 North Harrisville Road. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So do we have a representative from Take 5 to present here? Sorry, is our audio working? Oh, there you go.
Testing 1, 2. Can you hear me now?
We can. Thank you.
Excellent. So I don't believe anyone from Take 5 Corporate is on the line. I think they had another conflict today. But my name is Matthew Corti. I'm with Langan Engineering. I will not be the engineer of record because I'm not licensed there in Utah, but we do have another engineer that's local there in Salt Lake City. And then there should be a representative there. It looks like he's there. Dale Truxell there in person. And then just the rest of our team, we've got Emma O'Hagan. She's an intern in our office here. And then Kyle Lau is project manager here in our office. And it looks like a representative from the architecture team is also online. Janie, Mike, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Good morning, everybody. Janie with Castle's Design Group, representing the architect for the group.
Good morning. My name is Mike Cope. I'm also with Castle's Design Group. I'm just working as a project manager on the project.
Okay, is this?
Is it Dale?
Dale, yeah.
Dale.
Langan as well. Like, just a local representative.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started with our discussion here. Let me just ask, we received a concept plan a number of months ago. Is this the same or is this a different application?
We were unaware of there being anything else submitted.
Okay.
And we actually got this concept relatively recently. So it is possible and not uncommon for Take 5 to find a site that maybe another car wash entity was not able to make work and pick up that project and move forward with it. So I'm not
That's
sure
fine.
who may have submitted it, but
It's not a problem on our end. We just didn't want to repeat maybe conversation or items that we've already discussed in the past if this was the same application. So we're happy
Gotcha.
to review it and start from square one on it. We just wanted to make sure again that we weren't being too repetitive with our discussion. So this is in an area of the city where near Walmart complex or Walmart subdivision. And this is the northwest corner of that, and it's currently, I believe, commercial zone.
Right.
So a car wash isn't an approved use in our commercial zone. The North Harrisville Road is actually also Highway 89, and the access points there are governed by UDOT. The 700 North entrance is a local city road. And I should say, our current code does not allow for commercial development to access onto a residential road, but we do have a proposed ordinance before our city council right now that could update that code. Depending, it was tabled at our Tuesday night meeting, so we will have more information on that in August. So those are some preliminary planning things that we have identified as far as, we, out of the previous application, some information we received from a pre-application meeting with UDOT for that proposed access. They are only aligning accesses with properties across the road, if I
Okay,
remember right. Correct?
Yeah, I think that's right. So UDOT had some concerns on that North Harrisville Road where it's a UDOT facility. They had some concerns with how close it is to the light, to the signalized intersection there. And then they also, yeah, I think it would have to line up with an access across the street.
Pull up geodesical survey.
Yeah, so I believe. So I don't know if this team, I don't know if you guys have had a meeting with UDOT yet.
we have not
Um,
yet, but they are on our
okay.
list.
Okay, so that entrance there at that 617 right there,
Mhm.
on the other side of the road. I think that's the one that the entrance into the car wash would have to line up with. Now, I know it looked like on the concept plan that they're maybe looking at splitting that lot. Yeah. Cause it didn't look like Take 5 wanted to take up that entire thing. But if that's the case, I think UDOT's gonna require them to do, if you end up splitting that into 2 lots, UDOT would require you to just do one access for both lots, and then you'd have to work out just an access agreement between the 2 owners.
Gotcha.
Cause I don't think, I'm pretty positive they're not gonna let you go any further north than lining up with that.
This is the intersection they were concerned about.
Yeah. We had a kickoff call with Take 5 internally, and I pointed that out to them that it was a little bit close to that intersection, and I'd be surprised if the proposed access there would be allowed. And just to, sorry, I didn't mean to derail y'all going through things, just to kind of get y'all up to speed with where Take 5 is and where our team is on this project. So typically the way these move forward is once Take 5 identifies a site, they'll dump this off to an entity called Quick Concepts Group, who produced the exhibit that you had up a little bit ago. They typically don't get into super detail with reviewing DOT, driveway alignments, anything that might be required. They pull a few setbacks, but typically it's just kind of a high level, can we fit the site on here? Can we get the building we want on here and all the major components? So now our job is to take the information that y'all give us, the research that we do, the meeting with DOT, and put all that into a blender and come out with a concept plan that's actually fully developed and complies with as much as possible. So some of the stuff on this concept plan, take it with a little grain of salt. We have already identified that entrance probably is going to have to be a shared entrance between the proposed Take 5 car wash location and whatever goes into the south. We don't know what entity that might be ultimately, but as you mentioned, it is Take 5's desire that they're going to take down the whole 660 site. I think is 2.67 acres or something like that total, and subdivide it so that they can sell off the parcel to the south. Sorry to interject.
No, you're fine. That helps us understand what step you are in the process as well, so we can give appropriate feedback. So those are some high level things that we have identified from, like I mentioned, a previous application. So if the ordinance is passed in August by our city council, adopted, and our code is amended, then it would allow for this access onto 700 North. So if further discussions with UDOT didn't allow this, I don't know if there's a possibility of a shared access through Walmart's property or something like that.
It's quite a bit. It's not, you can see the grading there, so I think it would be possible. Is the ordinance going to allow for in any Commercial, residential, but commercial, residential, how's the ordinance?
Within 150 feet of a state road.
That's what it is.
That's what the language reads. So if they don't change that language or opt to resist, it's going to remain a local.
Yeah, you probably, right, that'd be another thing is if you did have, right, we'll probably look at improving 700 north with curb gutter, sidewalk, whatever else we need on that. South side of 700 north along the frontage there.
Harrisville is kind of in the same condition. There's no curb gutter. It just slopes off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, that's
That's,
the jurisdiction.
that'd be UDOT, but UDOT will probably come back to us.
Do the same.
They probably require the same thing, yeah. And then the other thing would be, so in addition, so you probably need to, Jenny, tell me if I'm wrong, they probably need to come in first with the, or maybe they can run the subdivision application.
Yes.
Because they're gonna have to subdivide the property, so you have two different processes with the city, a subdivision application, and then site plan application, once you come in and do the site. I can't remember if that, I was trying to pull it up, and it's been a little slow, is that lot a part of the retail, Harrisville retail subdivision?
It is actually,
Okay,
so it would be an amendment.
so it'd be probably an amended plat.
So it would be-
Maybe it's the county site. Can we-
Yeah, it looks like, I got on the appraisal district website for Weber County, and it looks like it's in the Harrisville retail subdivision.
So it would be a subdivision amendment to split those
Split up.
into two lots, create another lot.
Right. But that shouldn't be, I don't see any issues there. That should be a pretty smooth process to do that.
The zoning's already commercial. So some commercial are much smaller than probably what you have there, so it wouldn't be our zoning requirements for that.
Is that typically an administrative process, or is that, will there be any public portion since it's adjacent to residential there?
No, it's an administrative process.
Okay.
You're not requesting any type of zoning changes, zone commercial, so it's meeting our subdivision code, which is in our, it is chapter 12 of our website, cityofharrisville.com. Under other resources, our entire code is there. Our subdivision application, our subdivision ordinance is under 12, and then we'll walk you through the process of what's required for the application, and you're doing an amendment, which be the left. So this will be the code 12.07.020. That'll outline the steps that you need to complete to come through with an application for the amendment. And as Matt said, we can run them simultaneously. The subdivision amendment, actually, it's such a small amendment, so just get reviewed by the project.
Cause it's kind of like a small lot
Yeah,
subdivision.
it's almost
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
I suppose it would have to be because it's creating. So a quick overview of this, because it is creating a new lot, would require it to go through.
I'm sorry, since it's creating a new lot, it's gonna be required to go through what?
Planning Commission and City Council, I'm sorry.
Okay,
But we
so
can
that,
run that
it-
simultaneously.
okay. So that is a public process then?
Not in with public input, it doesn't require any public hearings. It just means you have to go through the Planning Commission application process first. We can probably do, I'm guessing preliminary and final because it's such a small adjustment. And then
Okay.
you'll do the same with our city council. So it's a couple of month process to complete
Okay.
that. But in the meantime, the Planning Commission can begin their review of preliminary and final site plan approval of the actual car wash site. So we can be doing those at the same time.
And does that site plan approval, does that include architecture plans as well? Or is there a separate building permit?
So there's, I think it includes architectural renderings, but the actual building plans are just submitted with the building permit, which would come after that.
That's
Okay.
Is that
gonna
right?
be, well, we've done it both ways, because on commercial projects, we've sometimes, if your process requires the building official to review the plans before it gets its final approval, then we have done it both ways.
So it sounds like maybe building permit, site plan and the subdivision amendment can all be submitted concurrently and kind of be running parallel paths.
That's about as quick as we can make things happen.
Okay,
Yeah, if you have it all. put
If
together.
if it all meets our code, here's the code as far as the site plan design and the application process for that. It's 11.22.
Okay. As far as, I guess, review times right now, I know every jurisdiction is a little bit different and has a different workload and staff capacity. What kind of time frame are y'all running for reviews right now?
Well, we're in transition, so we're bringing more members. Brandon is contracted to do some more planning reviews for us through our consultants. So we're actually, it depends on how quickly we do require, let's see, site plans. There's 2 different deadlines for the site plan. It's 15 days before the meeting you want it to be considered at. So that deadline, we meet the second Wednesday of the month for our planning commission meetings. And the subdivision requires 25 days before the public meeting you're seeking approval. And the planning commission meets the second Wednesday of the month. So that gives you kind of an idea of when our schedule is, and you can possibly, excuse me, build out your submittal based on those dates. So the date for an August review would be coming up shortly.
Okay. And I think this is a 2024 building start date for them. So they usually try to do things as quickly as possible. And if we can run concurrently, they'll pursue that. But I don't think they're just in an absolute rush to get this one started or anything by the end of the year.
The biggest hurdle and always our first suggestion is to contact UDOT and have a pre-application meeting for your project. Make sure that you're not going to run into any kind of unforeseen circumstances that would hold up your project, because their timeline is different than ours.
Right,
Gotcha.
and we'll want to see UDOT approval, or that they've given you that access permit before we approve the site plan. They can probably do the subdivision without it if they're just splitting lots, but site plan approval wouldn't get approved at the city until you have UDOT access.
I don't know whether that would landlock that lot.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a good point. Because it's a permit, I mean, the plat's gonna have to show an access easement, so you're right.
Yeah,
Probably need that UDOT approval. Because wherever that comes in, they're gonna have to have an easement plat.
that it's a shared set.
Right.
Are there any other questions, high level questions you want us to review for you while we're on?
I guess as far as utilities, I'm not sure if anyone on our team has checked if you have any GIS information available. But
You know,
for,
somebody emailed me yesterday, but I don't know if they were with you or not. No, different company emailed me yesterday asking for utilities on the same lot.
it may have been Chuck Maddox with the MEP engineer. I know he's been reaching out individually on some of these.
It was Marissa Croft with Peterson Engineering,
Oh,
but I don't. But I can send those to you.
okay.
What's or Dell or Nancy, what's the best email to send them to?
Mforte, MKORTE,
Okay.
and Langan, LANGAN.
We, so the city owns the sanitary sewer and the storm drain. Well, yeah, most of the storm drain. You're on a UDOT road, so there is some UDOT storm drain right there as well, but we do have city storm drain fairly close by.
When I walked the road, it looked like the storm drain ended at the 700 right there, and then it
Crosses.
picked back up quite a bit down south of us, so it didn't seem there was anything in the middle. And then, as mentioned earlier, Walmart was quite a bit higher, so I didn't see anything that we might be able to attend to for storm. So
Is our
It would be,
map wrong right there?
well, it's not wrong. It does tie in just like that. Yeah, it does.
Okay, so there is
So there is,
like a 36 inch pipe.
yeah,
On that.
right in that corner.
oh,
Very north.
I'll probably be able to
Yeah,
tie into that.
northwest corner.
And then,
Yeah. So that, right on that, it kind of comes out and
it's kind of coming across. Like, it's coming across it like this.
Well,
Right? Or over here more? Oh, okay.
it cuts right through that corner.
And then comes across.
So there's strong.
Is it actually? Changed.
Yeah, and then, sewer. Yeah,
Sewer should be out. For on the opposite side. So
yeah, you got the sewer on the south side.
Sewer runs here.
And then crosses the highway. And Bonta Vista is the culinary water provider. Brady, right here's a Bonta Vista.
I guess in relation to that, is that a separate submittal to them for their review for approvals on water?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So you want to contact Bonta Vista Water to start that process. There is no secondary water, pressurized secondary water in the area. So for any outdoor watering right there, you'd have to see if Bonta Vista, I guess, have you guys changed the ordinance a little bit where if they provide usage data and do zero escape, they can get door connection?
Yeah, but I think that's in works.
So Bonta Vista typically doesn't allow any outdoor watering with their culinary water, but if there are no other options, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but if there's no other options and you do, low water wise, zero escape, type of stuff, then you can potentially get permission to, use some drip systems or whatever because we want to conserve water too, but we want some landscaping, like in our ordinance, it requires some landscaping on the site.
Okay. I guess another question, now that we've gotten through utilities, is there anyone from the fire marshal's office in the meeting?
Unfortunately, not this meeting. He's not in attendance, but they
Okay.
will do a review as well.
Okay.
They are separate into Northview Fire District.
Gotcha.
Matt, do you have questions on that?
Our building officials have been.
Yeah, I just wanted to verify, I guess if we're doing a shared access that maybe serves both parcels, as long as that shared access is fire rated and connects up to 700 North, it looks like all points of the building would be within hose lay distance, but that would be my only concern is if they want circulation around the entire building or if they want to be able to get to the rear of the site or what they might require.
I'll go on and say that the way that building's set up right now, he'll be fine with it. As long as he can get around, but based off of being on the corner with the rooms, he can fight a fire from either road really easily there. I don't know where the hydrant is. Is it near?
Yeah, I believe there's a hydrant right there on the site, right?
Yeah,
Possibly.
yeah, right on the northwest corner.
Yeah. So we should be okay.
Yeah, there's no fire sprinklers, and I don't know. I've kind of talked to, I don't know how to say the guy's last name on here. I talked to him the other day about the building and the submittal. And I kind of checked the site just a little bit and didn't see any concerns with fire sprinklers, but would be coming in the other, in the subdivision in the future, but that building will definitely not be sprinkled.
They typically don't sprinkle the car wash buildings unless they have to. So I don't expect this one to have fire sprinkler system.
That's correct. There's only 2 occupants, and then the occupancy type and the size of the building is well under the sprinkler criteria for IFC and IBC. Is there a separate fire submittal, since you mentioned it, a separate entity, when we submit for building, do you route it to fire or do we have to fill out a separate?
We have it connected as of yesterday, actually. I have the fire marshal added on there, so and the building permit submitted, it will go to Ryan, the fire marshal as well. So we'll be able to check all of that.
Thank you.
And then I guess kind of just continuing on with the building question, we don't like when Quick Concept Group does drop the property boundary right on the edge of a building like they show it right now. We typically like to have at least 5 feet setback to allow for grading and foundations and everything else. Is that if it does remain like this and we do keep it right on the property boundary and can make that work, is that any issue for city code officials?
I think we have a 0 setback unless it abuts residential, which there's roads. So our code does allow for a 0 setback.
A little bit hard to see on the specific concept, but I think he's worried about this right here is a tower branding. And that's right up against it.
So this is actually.
Yeah, and so that would be as tall or maybe a slightly taller.
And then there's a small vacuum enclosure like right at the entrance to the car wash tunnel that is right up on the property boundary as well.
So the front has a 20-foot.
Interior side.
But it would be an interior side. Sorry, I think I might have forgotten to share the screen here. Let me jump back and share this with you. Let's see. So we have a interior setback for your building at none. These are the setback codes for our CP2 zone.
Okay. As far as layout is concerned, it's actually laid out fairly well, it looks like, without any major circulation issues. But the trash enclosure is kind of the north and west of the building corner. Yeah, right there. Do y'all have any issues with an accessory building like a trash enclosure being in between the primary building or the main building for the site and any rights of way?
Our code does specify sorry if I'm making it easy by doing this on the shared screen.
Oh, no worries.
I think it is actually landscape.
It's in the screen.
It's in the screen. Go. Let me find that reference for you really quick.
Trash enclosures, 11/20/230, 11.2.
So it's regulations.
0.230.
There we go. Here's our code for trash enclosures. Just a quick overview. I don't see anything that
Right up to.
Should not be outdated.
So that we consider the film.
Should not be located in any front or side yards.
so yeah. We go back to your concept plan. That's both. So you probably want to relocate your trash enclosure.
Okay.
And went further to the.
Yeah.
What is it?
Like something like that. Like you want that, somewhere in there.
In here would be probably difficult. I don't
The pay station.
know what type of machine comes to pick up your trash. Ours wouldn't fit there, so.
Yeah, I was gonna follow up with the trash enclosure question and just ask, is it typically city facilities that, or city services that pick up solid waste there, or is that a third party?
We only contract for residential services, Harrisville, so all our residential services are independent contracts with services, solid waste services. We don't provide any commercial service.
Okay. Gotcha. And then I think that's pretty much all my engineering design related questions. I know architecture, we always ask specifically on the photometric plan, if there's any specific dark sky ordinances or anything else beyond just kind of typical cutoff lighting.
We do have architectural standards, 11.24. And exterior architectural design standards, our screening buffering standards, our landscaping is all included in that same chapter, 11.24.
Gotcha.
That does include lighting standards as well? It does. As far as pole heights and shielding requirements.
Yeah, we do have a dark sky ordinance. So no, everything needs to be pointed down.
The dark sky is included as well.
All right. I think that's all I had, unless someone else has any other questions.
I think that's all on our end. Yeah, just we'll review the architectural criteria and see if we have any questions. And then just to reiterate that building permit can run concurrent to site subdivision amendment and the zoning process.
He was asking if the architectural also plans can. You're really quiet, Renee. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, well, yes, I was trying to see if, I mean, just to confirm that the building permit package can run concurrent to the site development process and the subdivision amendment process.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. That's it.
All right.
Great.
If you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email is jknight@cityofharrisville.com, and we'll try and get them answered as quickly as we can. If you need further review, we meet the second Thursday at 9 a.m. this project management meeting, so we can review additional questions, concerns that you have in the project at that time.
Excellent. We really appreciate y'all's time, and just to kind of fill you all in on the rest of our process. Generally, they've kicked off survey, geotechnical, and environmental phase 1 for this site. So we'd expect all that to come back within the next probably 3 or 4 weeks. Once all that gets in, there's a little bit of an internal approval process, and then we typically move to construction documents from that point. So that usually takes about another month. All in, I would think the earliest you might see anything ready for submittal would probably still be at least 2 months out.
Sure.
Probably longer than that. And then, like I said earlier, we typically do try to run everything concurrent that we can. So we'll probably proceed that direction, but we'll definitely be in touch here, hopefully in another couple months.
Sounds good. Just a last minute reminder about the UDOT access permit submittal. And again, reach out if you have additional questions.
Excellent. Thank you guys very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
All right, our next discussion is Heavenly Roads. Jen, see you here. Welcome back. Your newest concept. Don't know that this got sent on, so this might be a first look for Matt, Justin, Tyler. Right.
It is.
So I'll just jump in because we recently we're updating the presentation. And we've done a number of meetings with our consultant, and they recently identified some considerations the city needs to be mindful of. Development in this particular parcel area was identified. And though we know this connection is governed by the school district, it was suggested that there be a stub from this property that could eventually
Go in.
connect there. These two stubs, I think, were exactly what we asked.
Right.
Right?
Both of those to tie in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in other renderings, only one of them is tying in. Yeah, so we do want both of those to extend.
Sorry, we didn't have that information for you last, but as recent as it was last week that we met with them.
So you know how much of a stub, are we talking like a stub all the way over, and we even do our half portion and connect on halfway?
I wonder if, and you know, or speak, but I wonder if we could even talk with the consultant doing our transportation plan, show them this concept and see what they think. I think the idea was, because we told them that we don't really envision, because they were originally showing this going like and tying up to 2150 or whatever it is up here in 23. And we told them with that have to go through all of that school property. So we don't see that really happening. So then the other discussion was, well, because we're looking for the connectivity, right? So they talked about turning this and just bringing this road, at least all the way over and tying in right here. But I see it. I think this
So much connected.
The only, it extends 2150 out. But really,
What if,
that rule 425 is similar to sunset.
well, I guess so long-term, is this setback? I don't know, I'm wondering, what if the parking lot served as the stuff like we've done in other areas where it's just not building space?
I think it would just,
This is open space here.
And that's what I'm kind of saying.
It would be a really clear setback for these if a road is.
I know, I just think I do like that they show pedestrian access through there.
Yes, the connecting walkways.
If it's not like a fire or an emergency vehicle requirement, then I don't know that we'd ever need it, I guess.
I mean, honestly, the only thing that 425 shows is that tiny little subdivision and 90% overflow parking for the school.
That's cool.
I mean, if that went through, I guess you provide a straight shot over to the school instead of dropping down in there, but I don't know, that's.
So that would be,
I mean, at 2150, it's gonna stop at school.
Right,
The only,
right, it's not like that's ever gonna go through.
the only benefit is maybe a tiny bit to come off of 2000 to 2300. Already giving you 2 ways. Right, 500, 450. Yeah, 450, then it comes back down.
again, though, with this concept plan, if as long as there's no buildings.
Yeah.
Would we just have to do some sort of like right of way easement sort of? 'Cause that's the only thing is where the city controls it.
Yeah.
You guys want to keep up a whole section,
Well, it wouldn't be something that we would own and be like a future
road.
like a cross access easement or something like future road easement, but
But we wouldn't want utility stuff there.
no, I would just,
Well, I was gonna ask, there would be no reason for utilities per se, because it's gonna be feeding. Anything that's gonna get fed
Sorry, Bill.
is on.
what if we,
The only thing is that we have to match elevations to make sure the stormwater fall down. Section. Well, there's not enough road section.
So let's review so these would be public roads, correct?
Yes, public roads.
City
The
standard
60 foot, yeah.
would be. And these are rear loaded townhomes and these are front loaded, is that correct?
Yes,
Your total,
total units is 100. We are technically allowed 101. But if we don't add any new roads, because I have to take out the road, so that is the other one. We do that stuff, start possibly losing some units there, but we can technically get 101 if we tackle one of these buildings. Make one a 6-plex, but right now we're 5-plexes.
is what our code dictates is 5.
Oh, so see, so this is the.
Then you just created, Matt, we've
Yeah,
identified this as a single lot here, moving the.
the water. I do need to get, because it's locked, so I need to get access into there to make sure we can do it. But I'm thinking, just by staring at it, thinking I can make it work, so you're. Worst case scenario, during the preliminary launch, shooting everything, it doesn't work, and then we just cut that off 2 ponds. But thinking I can make it all over that small pond.
With this connection back, Jenny and Justin, are you guys okay? We could just share this with, with Jeremy with WCG and just get us quick.
Yeah, if you're okay with that,
Okay.
share your concept with our transportation consultant, make sure that they see.
Yeah,
Because we haven't received any formal.
Through 50 or three rides, 12 inch.
Okay, just run straight.
Yeah.
Just down that property.
I can remove if there's anything across.
No, it's not seconds in there, 10, 20, 50 there to just 6 inch steps.
Yeah. I knew you had service too, I just couldn't remember if there was anything across. Yeah. the bottom.
There is concern for the limited parking in this.
so yeah, if anything, I'd probably try and get some more parking up on that northern piece a little bit. This southern piece, I'm also acting like that parking lot by the,
This is gonna service.
will help service the southern portion, so really it's the north portion.
And you're on that 60-foot down.
Yes,
So we could technically do a one side, maybe that side of no parking and. One.
but I'm trying to get the half, so there's 50 of the rear loaded, so the 0.5 for the visitor. So get at least 20, I have 29 stalls there, got some extra for the pickleball courts, just in case. Want to drive down, so.
Stay with.
Would the,
Well, they'll flock to the ball.
Yeah,
would it impede your open space at the end of that? Other road to do another small parking lot?
not really, because as I said, we have the extra
Well,
4,000
yeah,
square
somewhere.
feet.
Somewhere right in this area, to do another small, within walking distance, to the pickleball and the crops over, I don't, just an idea.
Or like you said, it probably needs, right there's a decent spot, and then if you can fit a few more up north.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, up in that area.
or even right off.
But they are all 2-car garages.
These even,
Yeah, all of them will be 2-car garages, so.
So they'll put all their junk in their garage.
Yeah.
Park out the street. That's what they do.
I was just the optimistic, aren't they?
honestly, we want jurisdiction.
And normally we throw no parking signs.
I don't know. If there's a-
Yeah. Because normally the fire department supports no parking signs on these, so because otherwise fire worthy. So,
Yeah, we have some rear loaded townhomes like this right by our office and it's rear loaded, and then this road, a road like this, it's just common. There's always lanes because they park here and run in their front door.
because our other option is, but I think that'll kill it. I have plenty of open space.
Can we?
We have to, we should always do. They shove those out. And we can make it drive, the rear loaded, we still have the drive. Of it,
Rear load with driveway, I like that.
rear load with drive.
If that's a possibility.
There should be enough space. It would smush the playground.
You should-
It probably wouldn't be good if we do end up doing some sort of stub thing down here, because now all of a sudden I don't have anywhere to throw some of these amenities. Because we're gonna have to shut them.
Yeah, I think we're going under some unrealistic greenery kind of demands if we're gonna do that stuff. And I'm not against greenery, it's just a water challenge. Even though we got a lot less winter, if you change that a little bit, make that
Well, what did since we're using a grandfather code, so forgive me, but I'm not terribly familiar with what our
it's
landscape.
It's 40% open space. I didn't have any,
You're at 54,
we're at 50, we're at quite high.
so I don't know that would bring you below 40%. So you're saying shift these this way,
Yeah, if I shift them over and add some driveways, shift those bottom ones down. So, because those ones are up against the setbacks on top, so just kind of move things around right there. And that way, I would probably eliminate those parking stalls, not all of them, maybe keep a couple for the playground. Well, I might move the playground down, if we do that. Down over by the pickleball courts, but as I said, that, once again, also, because if we do a stub, then we have to put the clear.
I think we're gonna be okay without the style.
So
So let's, with your,
with the park, yeah. I'd probably do, I know these ones are 25 footers, but I'd probably just do 20 footers.
Yeah.
These guys,
That'd
yeah.
be.
that's great. Okay, what else do we see? We already identified all the utilities for this. Past,
I mean, yeah, I think he's probably got it.
Yeah.
Sewer, show the existing sewer that's in there.
The only question is, when it ties down 2,000. Do we have
Capacity.
to shuts down? Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, so we've got the two, the nice thing maybe about where they are is you've got the 8-inch.
Okay.
And then there's the 12-inch right now. There's a connection between those two manholes that builds up. It's, so I think they're fine where our capacity issue comes, starts running two rises over once this all ties into 7.
Yeah, and I knew that.
And I think through here, okay, because our problem over here is down. Yeah, it's a stretch, right? Yeah, I mean, this is, we've seen a lot of iterations here.
Yeah,
But I think this is one that I probably, that should work, or that'll, I think, turn into a nice development. You've got, you've got that storm drain that runs on, you showed over there.
yeah, and I also have one, didn't pop up, but there's, I think, a big 36-inch one. That
Yes,
sits down.
yep, right down there.
And I don't know if that one heads off to like the Millennium.
It doesn't go quite that far. It goes, it cuts over. They all,
Do you know where this 12-inch one goes? Does it go?
it is, yeah, here. For this 12-inch, it's that 12-inch, it keeps going down and then ties into this line, which is like 30. Right
Oh,
there.
okay.
And then this one ends 30 and then cuts over. So this one does head down to 2,000. And then out and around, but this other one, not sure why, what it's doing, but.
Is there a certain one that you just want me to set the water?
Look at your elevations, I guess, to see what
Okay,
makes sense.
because yeah, that 12 one is, it's poking out.
What is it?
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't say that 12 is on there.
It's out there.
I think 36 would
Right,
be fine.
30. Or maybe it's 36. This, okay. Because that 12 inches in it, coming all the way up to this. So,
What?
I mean, is it,
That's one of the ladder.
that's how I have it, yeah. Okay, no. Is it 12?
Yeah, I measured it. I hope it's 12. As long as I measured it properly, it's 12.
We show it as 18, but maybe it's just 18 down further.
I think maybe it was not completely, because I guess I measured its furthest north point, it sticks out. But I swear it looks like a 12. But I'll have to double check that.
Either way, if we can tie into that 30 or whatever is right there, I'm sure that's gonna be better. But you're gonna have to, like you said, get in there and get all your elevations, see what.
Yeah, see what's gonna work.
What's gonna work. So you probably just call Justin again.
Okay, perfect.
Any other? So we'll forward this on to CG and look at that. So, yeah, that 100 or 101, right? That's what the old R3 zone.
Yeah, that's utilizing the first two units have to have 7,500 square feet, and then everyone after that has to be 4,000. Add 4,000 square feet for each additional unit.
Yeah. Right. Same looks like it was written on a typewriter.
It was. I assure you.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for us at this level? We'll just have them do a quick review, but we won't hold you up on your. So subdivisions required 25 days from the meeting, so you're anticipating any action.
Okay.
Second Wednesday.
Okay, perfect.
And we do require quite a lot for preliminary review, so.
Yeah, check out the ordinance.
Do you guys know, is the geotech for preliminary more final? Or do we need to get that for sure done?
I would get it as soon as you can.
Yeah,
We can have that as a condition on preliminary. So you can probably go to, if you don't have it quite yet, you can probably get preliminary without it, but.
okay,
They're not looking at basement, so that.
No.
But as part of your storm drain design, you're gonna want a depth to groundwater. So you can evaluate any LID measures. If we were, a lot of these sites in Harrisville, we're running the groundwater that's too high, so technically infeasible, and we either go to standard detention or try to, detention plus some treatment maybe. But yeah, get that geotech so you can identify that. The permeability of the soils and the depth of groundwater, and then all your other stuff for your buildings. Read under section 12, chapter 12 on subdivision.
So this is our pre-application meeting here, so you'll meet all of these.
okay.
There's the.
Okay, perfect.
All right, well, if you have additional questions, please reach out. We look forward to seeing your application.
Good. Although we can about month for. So.
Thanks. See you guys.
All right, great. Do well.
Good to see you again.
Yes, likewise. I understand we're going to be back to Larson Lane.
We are, yeah. New buddy here. So this is John,
Hey, John, nice to meet you.
and Langan had a appointment to run to. He took off. So let me just kind of give you a quick update on where we're at. And want to show you. So we have this parcel, these parcels under contract now. Obviously, this is the starting parcel that we began with. We have these two parcels under contract. We have an offer going that went in yesterday on this parcel. And there is a pretty good possibility that we can pick up. We're negotiating with these folks. And so that's what we have in our contract right now. Yeah, so the Love's right here. And so, so kind of want to just meet with you and kind of just touch bases and let you know where we're at. Let me so I have a couple of questions. Obviously, we're going to be looking for mixed use commercial on all of this. I know that we have a 51% threshold we've got to pass. We're close to that. We may have to pick up one more parcel in Washington. The parcel, the Loves, that's not, is that in a commercial?
So
That's all residential, right?
this line right here
That's
is
the
the
one.
divider between the commercial
Oh,
and residential. These parcels on this side be in the mixed use. They're not identified on mixed use map currently.
Right.
So you'd be asking for them to consider those as part of the mixed use, and you would be asking for, well, collectively, it would be a zoning change if you're doing mixed use, because some of those, all of those commercial. Not one of those looks like this. 7.
Yeah, that's you.
So we're going for a zoning change. So what would you be proposing on this? What's gonna be closest to our residential zone? What kind of housing are you?
On 255 and 265, that would be, our intention is to do patio homes on those.
Okay. I think you would have a more reception from something like that.
Yeah, and then I think that if we're able to, I think that we're pretty close on 264, 700. If we pick that up, we would want to do townhomes or apartments on them.
This one,
Mhm. If that's a possibility.
it's gonna be harder to sell.
I know.
Yeah. Those, especially as you get close to those homes.
Yes.
There's local residents.
Respect for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And some to too.
Yeah. Now, and I think that,
Just, you're what, I think we've had.
yeah, we've had that conversation. So what we would really like to do is, we'd like to do more of a retail commercial on the front part of these, and then go to apartments behind this. Do apartments fall into your commercial? Okay. All right. So I think, so do we need to maintain the 51% then? So.
But we do in our mixed use code, we have it pretty identified as to what we consider commercial elements. So under the, so 51% landscaping, open space, and commercial parking, we also identify as 51%. We can try to throw a bone to you there that will count that towards your 51%.
What can the 49% be?
The 49% can be anything residential. So we do have some apartments proposed in our mixed use. It's a negotiation. So what the mixed use ordinance allows is a negotiation between the city and the developer. So we set up a committee, we negotiate, we hash it all out. The committee consists of a planning commissioner, city council member, staff, and the development team. And we talk about things to get a good development agreement to present so that we all feel confident about, so that we don't throw stuff at the wall that doesn't stick.
And Glenn, I apologize, I'm gonna just be outside of what you're pointing on the map, where you've got the current zone piece plus the two southern parcels, 817 and 797. That's commercial development, mixed use. When you went like this, I gotta tell you, the back, those three parcels, is that where apartments were inside of the 265?
I was thinking more in terms of the 817, 835, and 797, if that would be considered.
This backside.
And that's what you were just explaining.
So
It's a negotiation.
yes,
If you maintain 51%, everything else is kosher, maybe.
Yeah, and I think your best luck is probably going to be, commercial, maybe the apartments closer to the commercial. And then blend into, patio homes or more single family. I mean, we can maybe have some townhomes in here too, but as you get closer to any of these residents through here, we're gonna have, you'll have much better luck if they're patio homes or single family or something a lot less dense.
Okay. So, do you think that if we did like split homes, would that split homes or Yeah, to like twin homes, or if we did, our engineering group, we just talked to them about, they have a fourplex design that's really nice. Do you think that would be allowed on a 264? Or do you think we're still fighting a?
Well, the honest truth is anything that's gonna have connected homes is gonna be a hard sell for anything that's abutting our residential.
Okay.
These parcels are not on mixed use, so we're asking them to consider those to be in mixed use, and then we're gonna put twice as many homes on. If I'm wondering, and I don't know, I'm just throwing this out there, if we do divide the development, do your commercial on the Washington Boulevard, your it's behind, try and meet that 51%, and then do like a cluster subdivision with the others.
That was my next question is, would it make more sense to split it, like you say, and keep those 3 parcels that we have on Washington? If we keep those as commercial, and then we do the 265 and 255 and 264 as a cluster.
That's a possibility because the cluster development, depending on what.
5 acres or 10 acres? Well, it says not less than 5.
Yeah, so that would, I think you've got. Geo gives most not.
Yeah. So we have 0.6 on 255, we have 4 on 265. 264 is like 7, it's close to 2.
That would be an easier sale to the public too, because you're allowed density for the bonuses that you are. I don't know if we've talked about, have we talked about the cluster?
Well, just in terms of on the 1100 North project, their initial concept was a cluster, and we talked about pros and cons with that, and I know that there's, exceptions granted or.
Yeah, because I guess the cluster, doing it that way is a way that you could potentially get it done within the existing zoning requirements.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna go to mixed use over the whole thing, then we're gonna have to amend our mixed use.
We have to do our general plan, we have to amend the mixed use, which is another public hearing. The public hearing for your zoning change.
Yeah, and where we've got some extra local residents there, that would again be a harder sell. Be easier sell if we did the cluster. So.
What is cluster even this?
That's different.
I was trying to read it, sorry.
Need to run through it. So the density is allowed depending on, you get bonus densities for different, I want to say amenities, but they're not necessarily.
Well, the cluster in the traditional sense doesn't give you additional density, but you do get these added density bonuses by doing things like
Just moving that to parcels, but the overall. Is that
correct. However, we can get additional density by doing things like if you add more rock and
Front porch and
front
landscape
porch and-
strips and.
what?
And the reason I threw this out there because one of the very vocal people in this area was involved in this cluster
Right, and writing the.
and writing this ordinance.
Oh, so they're more favorable to it if they yeah,
What
potentially.
What does the cluster ordinance allow for attaching houses? You mentioned anything attached would be able to sell, try to do zone change, but in the cluster, what is that?
I don't believe it's allowed because they have to meet the zone requirements of our lowest zone, so it'd be a 10 zone, so it still has to have 9 foot frontage on the. It's still,
Use cluster doesn't mean density doesn't change.
that's been an issue with this cluster.
Right.
So does that mean sides are just shrinking or something? Because if everybody has to maintain the density, then you cluster it, something has to give, right?
Yeah. Am I wrong in saying, I guess the cluster is more written, because you can only go to the lowest?
It says,
Because it's been proposed in like, where it was an R120 zone to get them down to R110 lots. I don't know that we've had any successful ones go through it like a R15.
No, the most successful is usually A1.
A1 or R2.
That can go. And the only one that's pretty successful in the A1 is because there's so much floodplain and open space that you can't build in. Or the pockets of where the buildable land was.
Yeah, we had,
It's pretty compact.
so it kind of is, so it's hard to say because the minimum distance between the main buildings should be 10 feet, which is our, well, I think our R110.
so here's right.
Do you think cluster helps?
It doesn't help in terms of if we to do any townhomes, right? I mean, we're still locked into
That's true.
all patio homes if we do that.
Yeah, so with that in mind, I mean, you can go through this whole ordinance and see if there's any, if you can find something. Sorry, we haven't done a ton of them, but
So this is the section I was looking for. It says the layout, setback, site development shall be consistent with the zone closest to the over lot size.
And what would you consider that being in that area?
Well,
Because the overall
It's-
size is.
RE15 currently, which is this, ironically, the representation that they're using here, 15,000 square foot lots, which doesn't give you.
Well, the problem is you could probably do R10, but we don't have a residential zone that's less than an R10, R110. Because anything that does have townhomes is a mixed use development, which is all negotiated through the MD.
Which is still an option. Just throwing out the cluster that it might be an easier option.
So can you bring back Geogizmo for a minute? What if we did something like this? What if we did a subdivision? Would there be any way that we could, I mean, I know your intent is to do the commercial on Washington, but with these lots being so deep, that's hard to fit commercial unless you do we'd have to do drive-in parking and all that kind of stuff. Is there any way that we could subdivide this at some point? And push this into our, and then just do the commercial as a separate entity? And then, does that give us any advantage? If we did?
I don't know that it gives you an advantage because those other parcels are not in mixed use. That's the barrier. So if these parcels came clear from here, we're talking, because we have another project in the city where the parcel was all the same and it comes all the way, it's north of here, but the parcels themselves came all the way to a butt next to the residential. Well, the public didn't want us to do, but how do I tell you, well, you got to cut your parcel down the middle with your zoning. So the mixed use was easier to say, well, we're going to allow this mixed use development to encompass the whole parcel, right? As a private property, you own the parcel. This is divided. The parcels are not the same. They're not one parcel. So that's where we're struggling to get the western parcels in the mixed use development, which is still an option. I'm not trying to talk you out of that option. It's an uphill.
Right.
I'm trying to bring that slope down a little bit to make it.
Yeah, and my thrust is this or my intention with this is this. If we kept our patio homes here and rolling down to 254, and then we kind of did this part as a mixed use, would we be able to, you see what I'm going for there?
I do.
So if we kept a lower density here, but here with the commercial piece, we now attach those pieces and do it as kind of, as kind of a mixed use commercial, and then go for townhomes or potentially even apartments on that. Is that something that you think would be
I think
considered?
it's a
favorable?
better sale than having apartments or townhomes here. The patio homes in themselves are still a higher density than what, that's where our Bethel is.
But I think if you're gonna propose it all to be a mixed use development, then yeah, if you come with a nice concept that has those patio homes that fade into, that these people might be able to get behind or accept or be okay with.
Yeah, so keep it all mixed use commercial, but then just take into account when we do our conceptual design, that we do some buffering in there and have lower density towards the existing residential. Okay.
Yeah, we'll just,
And any of your open space or amenities that you can push further that way to create a little more feel of openness on that end would.
well, won't this be a road here?
Yes, yeah.
This will be a road, yeah.
And I guess we haven't even moved on from the zoning questions, but our transportation update includes the connections I think you're already intending to make.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Which is great.
Yeah, and if we,
I think the cell, like everybody's saying, if you can keep that road as a buffer. And
keep
everything,
this road as a buffer.
everything patio homes to the west of that.
And then they have
The
roads.
easier sell would be to the north, a little bit higher density.
North and
Or
east.
not, north, to the east.
East of it, yeah.
And just, sorry to help you make sure I haven't lost the detail. If any of that were to happen, there would still need to be mixed use. Is that how you said it?
The general
General,
plan. Mixed use. Says eligible for mixed use.
So you would,
So it's you're asking for a general plan. And then you're asking for a mixed use zoning. To amend the general plan, you have to hold a public hearing.
would you allow those to be concurrent with the agenda? So if you vote with the general plan, we can just vote with those and change it after it.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily benefit because the master development agreement becomes the zoning and for our mixed use developments. And so we have to go through the committee negotiations. You could ask for the general plan to be amended now. But then we have to go through the negotiations with the committee to get a good product, because our hope is we don't want you to go and be told no or have stuff voted down with the zoning legislation. We don't want that to go over. So what we've done is we've negotiated these out. We have a pretty good record. We're 3-0 right now.
But once you have a committee, then you have the zone change. I mean,
That's when you,
With the MDA.
but it takes, and we're 3 or 4 months
Sure.
into the other negotiations, and we've already held the public hearing. We've taken the heat from the public. We take all of that to the committee. And we start saying, what kinds of things can we do to have the least impact on the residents?
so while the most comfort right now is to leave it 835, 817, 797, Blade's comment on trying to petition the city to see if there would be an appetite to move that map Spangler West, allowing for those buffers you all described, maybe makes sense if all the parties got there. The vote.
This is not something that the city staff, we proposed this whole area be eligible for mixed use, but then when they held in 2019, we held our public hearing, they pulled everything
Yeah.
back. So then they pulled it back to where a commercial zone is
Yep.
and let that be the mixed use.
Can I ask one question for the commercial? So 817 and 797 are not.
I believe.
797.
That's the only. So the ones above it.
No,
But the area those to go commercial, say we avoid all the, we just wanted that. No, it's good.
Consistent.
Because this was it's all the future land use. So that's just a zoning change request and it's in our general plan.
Yeah, so John, all of those along.
Just helps.
Are in commercial.
Potentially. So do you have any, this is maybe a side note. Okay, that answers my question.
Here's me. So the two parcels right there. I have yet to be successful in getting over. If you do, that would be what, well, that one, the one, what is?
So which one?
So those,
These two are owned by the same.
those two are owned by the same person.
Is that the one you?
Yeah, I can't get a hold of them. If you have, because it's an estate. Yeah, yeah. I've sent letters, I've made posted numbers that I thought were
The doc reached out to me not too long ago, because years ago, before I was involved in planning, the city required us to demolish and abandon homes. And they have been asked the city to let us rebuild that, but it's already zoned commercial, so.
Oh, it is already.
Are they not? They're not. Sorry.
They're not.
Okay. So I stand corrected. At the time, they were told they couldn't rebuild it.
Yeah, they're still.
Because they didn't charge current for frontage.
Right. We don't flag.
Because it's currently flat lot. So they have to
So
get
there's residents on,
residents on this here.
yeah, there's no.
There's literally no access, but they own this.
Right.
It's-
With a very intersection.
There's some stuff that's, anyway, that's off the topic. So
Yeah.
I just wondered if you have any.
Yeah, right. If you had contacted commission, I have talked to 332. That's also an estate. There may be,
Here, there's a residence here that's occupied that.
correct. They have no interest whatsoever to sell here. She made that very clear. And so,
Well, to circle us back, because we do have another 30, so.
yeah, so I think that, I think you've answered my general questions. I talked to Justin last week. And at one point, we talked about the potential of, is there a potential sewer tie-in, a connection off into the Washington? It looks like that's a no-go. Justin said that he didn't think we had the fall property to be able to go that way.
It really does need.
Yeah, you may be able to get, anything that fronts on Washington, you may be able to get out. But
not sort of-
here, I think you'll be too low.
Okay.
So,
But
but
getting
getting
to
to
64 would be great.
We don't love having to go out to Larson Lane either, because that's an Ogden sewer line. So we have,
Plus, yeah, I guess,
Well, and
I
then
had some elevation issues that.
Just to run my train from Larson.
Yes.
and we have sewer also.
And I think that if we pick up 264, I should update you on this. If we get 264, we'll probably get 252. We'll get that little parcel from.
This one,
Mhm.
okay.
So we're working on that. So I think that's all that. Did you have any other questions, John? Okay. Yeah, I think that, so I do have a couple of other questions. So if we proceed, the next step is would you recommend that we do the public hearing first before the committee is assigned, or start with committee first, and what would you?
Well, if you want to petition the city to consider those in the mixed use zone, we need to do that first.
Okay.
We need to have the general plan map amended to include those in the mixed, as a mixed use
Okay.
overlay. And then, assuming that is approved, then you can have the public hearing as soon after that as you'd like for the zoning.
Okay.
That has to be approved first before we can even consider the zoning to change, because these aren't eligible right now.
And then where we're doing a committee on the 1100 North, would that be the same committee, or would we do a different committee on this one?
Assign you counsel, and probably because one of those people are going to be ending their term in here, so probably assign someone else. So,
But whether we back to back those meetings and we can do that, so you're here and our team's here, same time, can try with that.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay, thank you so much.
I didn't know you're moving forward on this one, so.
We are, this has been a little slower and still moving forward. 1100 North, so we'll have an update and we reach out to you pretty quickly for next committee meeting on that.
Sounds great. Okay.
Thanks so much for your time.